Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here again today at Rewritten Vintage Homestead. I told you guys in my last video that I had a lot to talk about, so I'm going to continue. This one's much different, though, than the last video about Elizabeth Keckley. I thought it would be fun to go back to, I've been on YouTube for a year now, and to look at some of my previous videos and see what became of them. For example, a year ago, I talked about walnut trees and nuts in Washington. And that was in reference to our Border Patrol agents in Texas who rode horses and were accused of whipping Haitian immigrants, and not really immigrants. They were coming here illegally across the border. And so the president immediately came out and said that they should be prosecuted, that it was cruel, and so did our Department of Homeland Security, and all kinds of accusations were going out about these Border Patrol agents, that they were whipping Haitian people who were trying to come across the border illegally. I really encourage you guys to, before you make snap decisions on things, that you do research. Take the time to find out about a program. Take the time to find out, now what did we find out from these Border Patrol agents? We found out that over half of them came here through the legal process of immigration and decided to serve their country, and went through extensive training and are trying to do their job. We learned these horses are redeemable animals that were out in the wild, that we helped extend their life, and their help keeping our Border Patrol agents safe. So we learned what a wonderful program this really is. And now it's kind of up in arms. We don't know if it's going to be dismantled altogether just because of one picture narrative, or if these agents will actually get a fair shake during this investigation. And, hopefully they'll bring in the photographer that took the picture, who said they didn't whip anybody. I was just taking pictures. They were snapping their reins. You guys, something else that happens when you make snap, quick decisions without investigation is these people now have their livelihoods on the line. Some of them have been with the Border Patrol for 20, 25, 30 years. Pensions, retirements, families that depend on them. And they could lose it all because of a narrative that is false. So I think it's time that, like I said in my last video, it's time for lions, not for sheeple. And when you see BS, it's time to call it out. Well, you haven't heard much about that. And that's because they have found that it was not true. And as I talked about in my video a year ago, that upon further investigation on my part, I learned that these Border Patrol agents use their whips and they snap them. They snap them so the horse changes direction. And it is a deterrent to keep people from approaching your horse, but they're not getting whipped with them. So to kind of give you an update on where that's at, we have a group of lawmakers that are trying to get the report publicized, because these Border Patrol agents are now suing the president and the Department of Homeland Security for taking them off the job while this investigation was going on, and they were not getting paid. And it also slammed their reputation. It was slander. So they are being sued, and they want that report made public. There was a recent Washington Examiner report in which Department of Homeland Security officials said they thought the Biden administration was not releasing the report because it would make President Joe Biden and Mayorkas, is that how you say it? looked terrible for condemning agents for using horsewhips against illegal immigrants when that was not the case. So, lesson learned, let's not accuse people of something that they're not doing and ruining their lives, basically. Even the photographer that was taking that picture said they weren't whipping, and nobody was getting whipped. I never said they were getting whipped. I was just taking pictures. So also about a year ago, I had talked to you guys about inflationary depression and how I felt like we were on the brink of it. And am I an economist? No. But you can see the writing on the wall when money is just going out, to no end. As money goes out, the value of money drops. And as people are given money and there's more and more money available, they buy more and more things. And then you start competing for things and there's fewer things available. It's just all kind of common sense. So that was going on long before the conflict in Ukraine. So, you might be thinking, so what? We got a lot more money in the economy. Why is that a big deal? Well, you can see it in everything from gas prices to food, coffee, services, cars, houses. And let's talk about that a little too. Food prices have risen 3.5% in the last 2 months. Eggs and meat are up 5% over the last 2 months. Gas is up 22%. It's expected to get even higher this summer. Now, some people say, well, that's not Biden's fault. People are traveling more now. And I'm not trying to make this political, folks, but let's talk facts, okay? So when Joe Biden came into office, first thing he did was shut down the Keystone Pipeline. So that was going on long before the conflict in Ukraine began. But our president is saying that this is Putin's inflation. That because of the attack on Ukraine, that is why our prices are so high. When we know, because Rewritten Vintage Homestead told you months and months before that war even happened, that invasion happened, that this was coming. So, pat on the back for me. But not really a pat on the back for me because we are paying 8.5% more for everything. The price of gas has doubled and in some cases tripled, depending on where you live. The price of food, clothing, housing, and they're saying that it could get so bad in that the concept of inflationary depression could actually end up being depression. It's a sad thing when you have things happen in history that are right there before your eyes to study, that you could actually have learned something from, and you didn't. So I wanted to talk about that today. Some of the things we absolutely should learn from the Depression, even though it was a whole other economic scenario. Basically, you didn't have money, so you had to find other ways to survive. Now you have money, but your money is worth nothing, so you have to work harder, maybe take a second job or something to pay for the things that you need to pay for. So you really can learn a lot from what happened in the Depression, how people survived, and use those tools to get you through now. Now, just to give you a little heads up on the state I live in, it's a very liberal state in the Midwest, and they have just approved that people that are here illegally over the age of 55 are now going to have free health, dental, and vision. I want to give you an example of how this is not right. So my mother-in-law is in hospice care. She worked many, many years and had a job. So let's say 35 years in a job and paid into Social Security. Now that she is in hospice care and in a nursing home, you're only allowed to have so much money. Everything else that you make goes to the nursing home. So I believe she's allowed to have $30 a month. $30 a month. But on top of that, she still pays about $320 a month for insurance. And she's in hospice care. So here is an American citizen, a citizen of this state, who did everything you're supposed to do, who worked, who paid their taxes, paid into Social Security, and now still has to pay for insurance. Yet someone who came here illegally and has not paid their taxes, has not paid into Social Security in my state, gets it all free. So you keep letting people come into the country with no skills, who can't speak the language. And folks, they're not just coming from Mexico, okay? They're coming from everywhere. Everywhere. And we don't know who they are. We don't know why they're here. And they could not have, for every 5 people that you have come across that are good people and are just wanting a better lot in life, there are 5 people that are not good people. It's just something to think about. But you keep having all these people come in. So not only were we already fighting for goods and services amongst ourselves because of inflation, now we have all of these other people coming in who are not American citizens, and we're going to be competing even more. Yet our country is giving the goods and the services to them and not to us. So it's time to be prepared, folks. It's time to get serious about it. And so what I talked to you about a year ago has even gotten worse. And as I said in that video, the tree behind me was worth a lot of money a year ago. It's worth twice that now. So what am I predicting for the future? I want to talk about what our government's been saying about food shortages. And let's start there and break it down. So on March 28th, 2022, President Joe Biden and Press Secretary Jen Psaki made conflicting statements. So President Biden was on the news saying food shortages are going to be real. And he was basing this on what was going on in Ukraine. We are really going to start seeing food shortages. And, I will say that when he was telling us that, I thought, good for you, Joe. At least you're telling us the truth, this time. Thanks for trying to prepare us. Really get into this. They're already talking about food shortages, you guys. I mean, when Kamala talks and, has that goofy laugh, you really need to listen because she spills the beans. She's not supposed to spill the beans, but she usually spills the beans and gives us a heads up as to what's coming, And when she told us a couple months ago that if we wanted to order Christmas presents, we better order them, everybody was going, oh my gosh, with everything going on in Afghanistan, she's talking about Christmas presents. Well, see, she spilled the beans. Production is really, really slow. And trying to get goods and services is going to even get worse. And we'll talk about that too. So then the truth finally came out. You have the president saying, we're going to have food shortages. And then you have the press secretary saying the same day, oh, no, we're not going to have food shortages, but you are going to see prices go up. So you know that the truth has to be somewhere in the middle, right? And I think it really came out last week during the press conference. So let's dissect that, okay? And I wrote this down word for word. So during last week's press conference, once again, Jen Psaki was asked, are we going to experience food shortages here in the United States? Now, if you ask a lot of people now, they'll say we already are. If you go to the grocery store now, a product that you used to buy a year ago, you may not even find. And you can actually find shelves completely empty. And they'll say that's because we're having a transportation issue or whatnot because of global warming. I don't know. But some people would say that we are having a food shortage already. So she was asked again, will we be experiencing a food shortage here in the United States? And this is what she said. We are not expecting a food shortage here at home, but we are acting to boost. Here it comes, folks. We are acting to boost food security around the globe unilaterally and in conjunction with all allies and partners. So let's stop there first. So we don't expect a food shortage here, but we're not just thinking about you, American citizens. We're thinking about globally, okay? We want to make sure food is given unilaterally to everyone, okay? That was hint number one about what's coming. One of the steps we are taking is we are really conducting extensive diplomacy to encourage all countries to refrain from export restrictions and excessive stockpiling. Obviously, buying up or not exporting goods or products they would normally do because it would then exacerbate supply chain challenges and price inflation. And we want to consider how to expand production of key areas where we could see that happening. So let's say that Russia gets peed off at us because of all the sanctions that we impose on them, which, by the way, are hurting us more than they're hurting them. But let's just say. And they say, we're not going to send you grain. We're not going to send you oats. We're not going to send you corn. Whatever they grow over there that they send over here, we're not going to send it anymore. We're only going to send it to so-and-so. Well, so we get in a panic and we start stockpiling what we have. Okay? They're trying to discourage that. Let's keep going. Oil, seeds, and associated commodities. And the seeds about had me fall out of my chair. We're also working through multilateral channels, including the G7, to provide a range of funding to the Global Agriculture and Food Security Program. Global. We're going to feed the world globally, okay? So we may have to sacrifice. Will there be a food shortage? They're saying no. But you may have to make some sacrifices and you're going to see prices rising. Okay, so how are we going to do this? We are going to provide $1.7 billion, which is part of what we've done there to help the world's poorest countries increase investments in agriculture and food security. As we're anticipating shortages in some regions of the world and through Feed the Future in nutrition commitments. Now, Feed the Future was founded under the Obama administration, and you have to remember it's the same people that are running the country now are the ones that were working for the Obama administration, and they're the ones that started the Feed the Future program. And so now we're sending $1.7 billion to that organization, okay? We're also contributing over $11 billion over the next 5 years to address food security threats and nutrition across the globe. Folks, what happens when you start giving away money? Prices rise, right? Prices rise. We have more people coming into our country. less resources. Why? Because we're giving them globally. Okay? Stay with me. Okay, so in addition to the $11 billion over the next 5 years, we're giving an additional $4 billion in humanitarian assistance funding. So we've taken a number of steps, funding mechanisms, multilateral financing mechanisms, also contributing and trying to use through diplomatic channels efforts to prevent stockpiling and decreasing of exports, because we anticipate it could be an issue, and we're already seeing that in some parts of the world. So what does this mean? Well, I've already kind of broken it down how I interpret it. But what I predict is that we're going to start seeing limits put on what we're allowed to buy, because we need to spread those things globally, and we cannot stockpile them. So you want to buy milk? Go get it. But you're only allowed 2 gallons. You want to buy a bag of flour? It's there. You can only get 2. Okay? And this person can only get 2, and that person can only get 2, because we have to send the rest globally. Okay? So you're going to have less that you want to buy or that your family may need, and the price will also go up, but it's a small sacrifice to make so that we can all be equal globally. And I'm going to immerse myself in home today, and that's what I suggest you do. Now more than ever, it's more important to take care of your own. It's important to take care of your home, and it's important to be prepared. Take care of your fellow citizens. Stand up for your rights. And come back and visit us again.